So if you're in a moldy home, definitely get your home tested. If you have a lot of mold toxins out of the gate, it depends on kind of where you're at. If there's an active mold stress in the environment, I typically recommend work on getting your digestion, your diet, your inflammation dialed in if there's no active mold in your environment, and then work on dealing with mold detoxification once you have more stability with all your other organ systems and immune function. So just depends upon where you're coming from. If you have like active mold in your environment, that's the easiest way to detoxify out of the gates is get the environment kind of more dialed in. And we have podcasts on that topic that we can put in the links below. Evan, anything else you want to highlight for the listeners? So, I mean, digestion is really important. HCl enzymes, bacterial overgrowth, poor digestion. We talked about getting enough protein. And again, you kind of talked about not measuring, but just kind of using your own anatomy as a frame of reference because you have to serve yourself up anyway in regards to what you're eating. So it just gives you a good frame of reference so you know how much to give. And then ideally eat enough so you feel full and that you last about 4 to 5 hours. Now, if you're working with trainers out of the gates, do enough where you feel sore, not overly sore the next day or two. Make sure you walk out of the gym feeling more energized than when you started. And make sure you can emotionally repeat what you're doing. You're not feeling so emotionally exasperated. And then also that next day or that later on that day, if it's a morning workout, make sure you don't feel run over by a bus. Make sure you're doing just enough where your body can adapt to it. It's all about adaptation. Can you adapt to it? From it, can you feel better than afterwards? And again, if you're doing a brand new movement, you may feel a little bit sore because it's a new movement. So just, try to keep that in the back of your head too.
Yeah, and if you can't recover, then there's probably some level of mitochondrial dysfunction. We're also going to look at that. If we look at chemical profile testing, there's a marker there. If we look at in organic acids, we're going to look at mitochondria there. So for me, after I got exposed to mold, I will tell you my performance and my recovery was terrible. I mean, I used to recover in like a day or two. It was like 3 days. I was still sore. I was like, man, this is not right. Once I got the mitochondria working better, retested, looked at it, I confirmed, hey, that was directly correlated. And we've talked about this, I think, briefly before, but the issue of bacterial overgrowth and that producing high levels of lactic acid. So you could have a high baseline level of lactic acid, which creates this soreness, even just from the overgrowth in your gut. So we'll have women that'll say, oh my God, I'm so sore and I haven't done anything, or all I did was go in the garden. Why am I so damn sore? Their bucket was already so full due to the gut infection. So fix that, test for it and fix it. And then the last thing I was going to say was on the environment, which is that you can't get well in a sick environment. So whether that's bad lighting, like LED lighting, try to use incandescent bulbs, like have natural light, like I'm surrounded by a bunch of windows, getting that bright light exposure to help regulate your cortisol rhythm, making sure you're using Twilight or some other app at night on your phone if you're doing blue light at night, because we know that blue light can make you fat through various mechanisms affecting glucose and cortisol, making sure you're detoxing, making sure you're not wearing synthetic fragrance. I mean, there's so many people. We asked this on the intake form. Do you use scented products? I will tell you, I'm very surprised how many people are seeking out natural functional medicine and they still use scented laundry detergent, dryer sheets, all these synthetic fragrances. They can affect your hormones
Yep,
and they're not good. They are bad toxins.
totally.
They're endocrine disruptors. So go free and clear. It's not expensive. Every mainstream brand has a free and clear unscented version. So implement that easily. You don't want to be wearing endocrine disruptors on your clothes all day. You're already exposed to those. If you go out even to Chipotle, which I think is one of the best places you could go if you have to eat out, even their bowls have those nonstick chemicals in there. So you're getting exposed to toxins, even if you're not trying. The last thing you want to do is wear those and put your husband or your kids in those clothes. So go fragrance free, please.